Welcome to Level Yourself Up, where it's not about perfection but progress. I'm your host, John Budd, and in this episode is 2023, a year in review. I'm just going to kind of cover some things that's happened, some things I've learned. I'm going to talk about my 3 favorite books, my 3 favorite podcasts, some simple things that's going on, and then the future of the show. So everybody, thank you for listening. I notice I still have continued downloads, even though I only got 3 episodes out this year. So I'm really thankful for those of you that do listen to this show. It's inspired me to keep on plugging in and putting this show out there because people's finding value in it, and that's what I wanted to bring. Also, it's a good place to just share resources. I have some tentative, exciting things going on in the background that I'm really excited about. I'm trying to get everything in place. This year, I did not set goals, specific goals. What I am trying to think about is, where do I want to be in 2024? And then, or 2025, let's say January of next year, where do I want to be? And work myself backwards and come up with a plan. And I kind of highlighted some things that I think I need to work on, and I'm kind of just letting that come out. One of them was I want to put out a podcast. So that's kind of just where we're at. We're just jumping in. But think about what you would like to, where you would like to be in January of 2025. Now, along with that, keep in mind that life happens. Things happen that we can't predict or we don't know about. But if you had your way, where would you like to be? And then pick 1 or 2 things that you know you have to do to be successful to be there. Maybe that's several. So you got 12 months and you got to break down those 12 months and work that plan in. Hopefully I'll have a podcast more on that next week. I'm not sure if I'm going to get that recorded or another podcast first. But this week I do want to talk about my favorite 3 books. And I'm going to start off from number 3. It's called The Lean Startup. It is by Eric Ries. Probably butchering his name, but it's Eric Ries. It's really based around lean lessons and lean manufacturing and lean startups. I think some of the takeaways for this book, I'm just going to kind of keep it short and simple. It's really a hard book for me to maybe totally wrap my mind around how to explain it, because when I listened to the book, I was thinking about some of the things that go into like lean manufacturing and stuff like that. But in our day-to-day businesses or starting a business, one of the things that I think for me was the takeaway was to fail fast. Now that's been a reoccurring theme, just not in that book, but also in my daily life this year, is to learn to fail fast. And what that means is it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be well polished. We can come back and continuously improve on those processes and get it better. Kind of like this. I don't have a studio to record in. So this audio is a little subpar for me, to be honest. I've recorded this before, got it all ready to release, and I was just upset with the sound quality. So I've changed that up a little bit, and now I'm recording with a different microphone. I believe it'll have to be good enough. I'm putting it out no matter what. But from that book, some of the takeaways I have is that there is a process in continuous improvement that everybody can learn. The other thing is, when you start building a thing, is to figure out the right thing to build and the things that customers want and that they will pay for, and to do that as quickly as possible. Customers don't tell us what they want. They reveal the truth through their actions and interactions. Test and validation of your value and your growth hypothesis. You just got to keep redoing that. So what may work for one person may not work for you. And the other one is to cycle through your different minimal valuable product. Cycle through that and learn to build, measure, and learn, and then create that feedback loop as quickly as possible. So if you're creating a product nobody wants, then don't be afraid to drop it and start something else. So there's a lot more in that book that would be good, so feel free to check that out. Number 2 of my favorite books is You Can't Screw This Up by Adam Bornstein. Now this really hit me. This summer I read this book, but there was a couple of my takeaways that I'm going to just go off the top of my head without me looking at my notes. Was as I was walking, the thing that I just really felt encouraged about is with all the diet plans out there, is to pick one that works for you, that you can maintain long every day and do it. In everyday continuous improvement in how you eat, that is the key. So maybe not improvement, but let's say you goof up. Then when the next time you have a meal, don't sweat it, don't get upset, just go back and eat right. That was a good key for me. What I liked about Adam's book as well was it was pretty simple and no it was just pretty simple. You know, if you do a workout, you know, that nutrition, you have to eat right. I don't care how much you eat or work out, your nutrition is what is important. So if you go look at all the diet and all that stuff and all the workout regimes out there, be careful with it, because it's really, we want to be healthy, so you have to put good food in your body. And then there is a place for doing workouts and getting exercise. So it's kind of divided into a couple sections, like it's informative and entertaining sections, kind of like the why and the hows on what's going on. And he gives a lot of background information. I do think that it's a worthwhile book. I think it's very valuable. There are some recipes. He does have some routines and practices that he kind of puts his own spin on, but he leaves it up to you to put your own spin on as well. It's kind of just a guideline. So how I heard about this book was Arnold Schwarzenegger's podcast of Pump Club. And then that led me to the number 1 book is Be Useful by Arnold Schwarzenegger. What I really like about his book is that he just told stories, but he kind of broke down. So I'm just going to summarize the book in how I remember it anyway, is basically you need to have a vision. What are your values? What are your strengths and weaknesses? What are you passionate about? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world? What legacy do you want to leave behind? And once you have a good understanding of your vision, you can start setting up goals and developing a plan to achieve them. So it's kind of what I was saying earlier about working backwards. And that's maybe where some of that come from, to be honest. He talks about the importance of being grateful, creating a journal and writing things down, He talked about the importance of just doing hard work and setting realistic goals and breaking them down into smaller, manageable tasks, creating a schedule and sticking to it as much as possible. And that was the other big takeaway for me, is that if you create a schedule of you're going to work out so many times a week, don't skip it twice in a row. And I think that goes with if you're reading the Bible or wanting to play the piano or spend time with family. Don't skip that 2 times in a row. That was awesome. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Be persistent. There will be setbacks and challenges. I think that that's kind of what I was saying leading up into this show. This year there'll be some setbacks, but you just got to persevere and push through. And some tips on persevering was celebrate your successes, no matter how small they are. Learn from your mistakes. Don't be afraid to try again. Surround yourself with positive, supportive people, and never give up on your dreams. Be kind is another thing he talked about. Being compassionate, being a good listener, being supportive, helpful, being humble. Remember that you and I were not always right. We have issues, and be open to feedback and new ideas. Be open to criticism and feedback. I just kind of said that. Be willing to admit when you're wrong, willing to learn from others, be grateful for help and support of others. Don't let your success go to your head. And then giving back. What's some way you can give back? To volunteer your time, donate your time, to coach, mentor, be a good friend or neighbor. So that was kind of covers that book. It was a very good book. All 3 of those were good books. And I've read other books that were very good. But so if you're interested, check out those 3 books. Now I want to share 3 podcasts that I've been listening to. And number 3 is Arnold's Pump Club. It's just very short, 5 to 10 minutes, about being positive. He wants to build a positive place on the internet. And so it's just good insightful news. I feel like when I listen to it, it's given me a way to think about things. And I know today, the podcast I listened to today before reading this, he was talking about people that set goals for 2024, plan to have setbacks. And thought that was good. Number 2 podcast is In the Studio by Mark Alcard. I just like his music and his teachings and his viewpoint. Now, Michael did retire this year, and I think in October was his last podcast, but the archives are out there. They're still worth listening to. Very insightful. And my number 1 podcast is from Linda Gallo, Many Miracles from Minor Moments. It's just encouraging, thoughtful, different way to look at things. I think twofold is Linda brings some insights in perspective that I just glean bits and pieces from. So the next segment in this podcast is just briefly talking about the past year and some of the things that's happened, which I kind of alluded to about the studio, and we just had to put some things on hold. Life seemed to happen. And so with that, I'm focusing on the good and not the bad. There's a lot of things that I wanted to have done by now that we don't have done. That if I let it, could be very frustrating. And I think it's important to not let your setbacks need the challenges to push through, but don't let them defeat you. Let them fire it up that you have the energy to get things done. But one of the other things that I learned from this year is how important sleep is. So let me do this. I don't have this in my notes, but I'm going to give you the 3 tips I found for me to help me be better. And I would say I won't put these in order because I think they go hand in hand. But one of them was sleep. I really used to be the type to get 3 to 5 hours of sleep. I don't always sleep best at night. It seems like I'll go through cycles where I'll have good segments of sleep. But if I try to be in bed by 10 o'clock for me, and then I get up and go to work, then that is good. I get about 6 to 8 hours of sleep. I've been giving myself permission to take a nap. Sometimes they're just 5-10 minutes, and other times they're half hour longer. I don't always take a nap. I might go a week or 2 weeks without taking a nap, but if I'm tired, I've been listening to my body. If I'm tired, I fall back to sleep or I go take a nap. So the other thing is, if I wake up at night, I will use that time to pray and to be grateful about what's going on, and try and utilize that time to go back to sleep. And so if I just lay there in bed, I'm praying for somebody else or even praying for myself, then I can go back to sleep. That's always good for me. Number 2, I think the best thing is more consistent health and exercise. This Christmas has kind of thrown me a little off, but I've been getting a lot better structured exercise this year, and I'm coupling that this year right now is to eat better and eat less. So those are kind of my biggest tips I've found is, to try and get planned exercise in, and then to eat less and better quality foods. I'm pretty excited about those things I wanted to share with you. The top 3. I want to kind of feel like I could let people understand where I'm at, what's going on. So with that, let's talk about the future. I plan on putting this podcast out every 2 weeks. And then I just hope to be able to serve you guys well. And that's my goal. What I would love for you to do is, if you have a topic you'd like for me to talk about or share, feel free to email me. Go to the website, but it's John at LevelYourselfUp. It's pretty easy to get a hold of me that way. I've had a few people ask me questions that I plan on answering, so I'm kind of working around that. All right, my friends, I think I'm going to wrap this up, and I just ask you to think about yourself this week. What's the one thing that is holding you back? And what goals do you have for this year? So think about it. And I just want to pray for you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Everyone that's listening to this, just let their life be full of peace, love, and joy. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, my friends, thanks for listening and tuning in. I'll catch you in 2 weeks.